I know that many athletes have had to go through difficult times in their lives to get where they are at the moment, but since they told me that I had to do a job about someone who has overcome myself, I talk about the history of Gabriel Jesus because I remember in 2014 when I saw him painting the strips of the neighbor for the Soccer World Cup in Brazil. Okay, Gabriel Jesus. So he tells his story. Every time I make a goal for Manchester City, my mother calls me. As soon as the ball touches the net, the ponder rhymes. It doesn't matter if she is at home in Brazil or if she is in a stadium looking at me. He calls me every time, so I run to the corner floor, put my hand on my hair and say, "Hi mom." When I arrived in Manchester City, people thought it was very funny and asked me again and again what it meant. There is a quick answer. That is that I love my mom and that she is always calling me. And there is a longer answer, which begins when I was a child with a dream in Brazil. There are millions of children with dreams, but I was lucky because I met some superheroes. No, don't look, I will show them to you. I grew up in a neighborhood called Perry Harding in northern Sao Paulo. And for many people, their life is a real struggle. I was lucky because my mother worked extremely hard, and your family always had known it. But many of the boys I grew up with had it harder. Sometimes some of them had only one real male, a dad, and that male was what they have is on the court. To be honest, many of the things even come to play. They come simply to hang out and for free sandwich and drink they have us. It goes with breading and mozzarella, with canned of soda. Sometimes the host gave of the can of soda, and they had to spend the day with that. For me, all my dreams, every time I have now, started with the pequeños clubs, immense little ones, and it was in that much more than a football club. Do not think of beaches, boundaries, and all that. That is not very. Our camp was on the edge of a military prison. The field was nothing but dirt. There was no grass, and it was surrounded by large pine trees. The only people who played the basics, the boys, were the prison police. When I was 9 years old, I went there with my friend Fabinho to see if we could play of the team. We crossed the entire forest with our bodies under our arm, and then we met the guy who changed our lives, Jose Francisco Mamede. He was the youngest team coach and said, "Sure, they can play the next game." There were no papers to sign, nothing, because the club wasn't trying to turn the boys into profit. It was about showing them something positive, giving them something to eat, guiding them out of the streets. Pequeños is not a big club, so you probably never heard about them, but it's muy sad. There are miracles. Sometimes the kids traveled in a collective for an hour just to come for lunch and the basic basket. The small boxes of charity food they were given to take their families. They had beans and bread, the things that are needed to overcome the month. It was funny. Coach Mamede had a old white Volkswagen Beetle. It must have been from the it must have been from the 70s, and he had the boys in it, and were some small thought. We could hear 9 or 10 in the car, with bottles, balls, box of charitable food, and everything else. What the club does for those guys is amazing. In Brazil, in Brazil, we have a name for people like Mamede. Every same campus. Every same campus. Every without help. That's what it was for many guys. Mamede and the other coach gave us a chance within life. For me, football was everything. The love of the ball was everything. Pequeños trained only once a week, so if he wasn't there, he was playing in the streets of Paris. Sometimes I stayed out there kicking with my friends until midnight, and then, somewhat later, we would stay in the streets, talking about hills and laughing at each other until 2 in the morning. At home, there wasn't much to do. My father left the family as soon as I was born, so my mother worked every day to provide for me and my brothers. I worked in house cleaning in the city hand. When I come home at the end of the day, I shared a bit with me and one of my brothers. Some boys had video games. I have the ball and in my imagination. And it was good because I had a real childhood out there. We had this youth soccer championship where every street had a team, and the trophy was a can of soda. It was a war over that can of soda. That was all you took. Honestly, that can of soda was worth more to us than the Copa Libertadores. If you won the title, you were passing the can amount your teammates, and it was better than anything else you trade. Everyone to their sip, and passing the can. The can in soda cup is 10 times better than champagne like champagne. 10 times better. When I was 13 years old, sometimes happened that really marked me. Our club, Pequeninos, entered a great Sao Paulo tournament, and we were good. There were matches in the preliminary rounds in which we beat the biggest clubs by 12 or 20 13 goals. But then we reached the final and we had to play against Portuguesa de Deportes, which is illegally a professional club. The only reason they played the tournament was to be able to find talent among the boys of the smaller teams. It was like in the movies. We are this light club that plays upside the hill, and they are the big club with its own chips and everything. But my friends and I were chickens. Nothing happens, brother. Let's win. It's ours. Then come the tournament. Then come the tournament. Then I eat riding so hard at when I got up the next morning. They were talking about canceling the game. When the game started, the whole court was smooth, crazy. We started running and we fell in the field. None of our boys could stand up. But someone showed the Portuguese players were fine. They stood still. They had real men's pools of toes to go scurry the boating where it rains. Our ankle boats were cheap ones with plastic caps, and they were worn out. I remember thinking about that moment. Fuck, this is life. We continue to live our lives to win, but we lost 4 versus 2. I will never forget the moment when I was watching Portuguese celebrate with the trophy. Soccer is like anything else in life. It's not fair, so you having to look for the forever when it is not fair. It was the perfect lesson. at the perfect time, because the following years in my life were very difficult. In Brazil, if you dream of being a professional soccer player, you are generally already in the bottom of a club when you are 12 or 33, 13 years old. Worse, for some reason that was not working for me, I tried up Sao Paulo FC, and they liked it. But they told me that they could not offer me a bed in the lower division, and the club was far from my house, so I had to travel by bus every day. I had to leave school and my mom. My mom was definitively not going to accept that. For her, school was everything. I owe everything to my mother in that period, because a lot of boys in Brazil, when they are of humble origin, must start working to help the family. They cannot do soccer, school and work, so they dream this at the point. But my mom believed in me, for whatever reason. He believed in me, and he told me continue it, no matter what I had to do. So, at 13 years, I started playing with Big Me in Barcelona. Okay, everyone in Sao Paulo knows what I am talking about, and possibly they are logging, but for the rest, I explain. Barcelona is a king of street basketball in the United States, or a semi-professional soccer leagues in Europe. The courts are Buddhist, and you have to play against the Marman. The hard man. He is known for being extremely physical. A lot of unpleasant things happened on the playing field. I will never forget at the moment. We were playing a very important games against a large teams. They always had one of the best teams in Barcelona, but they had been out of the league for a reason I don't want to head into. Maybe there are children reading. This was the first years back in the league, and they were playing against us a match for qualifying for an important tournament. I remember that as his players were looking at me before the game. Was this a show? Are you really going to play? It was serious. After 4 minutes of the games, I gambited to the best defender of them and made the goal. And I remembered that everyone looking at me as if saying, "Okay, baby, let's make you live ahead." So they're starting hitting me every time I hit the ball. They got crazy. In fact, in fact, they were really trying to hurt me. They had a petit midfield, was a one with was wow a midfield and he told me again and again, I will break your legs if you come back to me to gamble. So I grabbed the ball and crawled it again. It was like in the NBA when they say they broke a player ankles. I made him fall on his ass. Now they looked at me as if they were going to genially kill me. But what can I tell them? When I have the ball on my feet, I am in a different world. So grabbed the ball and made a pass without looking at a teammate. Who scored the goal? The public went crazy. The match ended 2-2 and we won on penalties. They were so angry that when they whistled bleed, the two looked at me and said, I told you I was going to break your legs, baby. I see you in the parking lot. He told me seriously. I was very intense. I remember thinking, wow, it might not come of her. Fortunately, my team protected me, sorted me to head out, and I was able to go through the parking lot without problems, and I came some safe and sound. But that is not the end of the story. On Christmas 2016, I went home to see my family and had to go through the bank to do some paperwork. So I left my car in the parking lot and the guy who have the tickets in the cabin. This guy is familiar to me. This guy is familiar to me. And he is looking at me as if he knew me. He gives me the ticket, but he keeps looking at me. Then he tells me, hey baby, and I turn around tip, eh? And decides, do you remember me? It's the Barcia brother. I was going to break your legs. I am keen. Oh God, I didn't know what the guy was going to do. Then he tells me, I was really going to break your legs. Can you believe it? I was trying to be calm and I said, no brother, no weren't going to do it. I know you were kidding. And he tells me, no brother, no, I was really going to break your legs. And now you play for my favorite team. I love you brother. I love you brother. You can't believe it. Can you imagine if I had broken your legs? We laughed and I took a picture with him. In Brazil, we have an expression, and I think it is the only way to describe what happened to me. My life was transformed from water to wind. 5 years ago, I was playing in Barcelona, trying to survive, trying to reach a big club in Brazil. I have played with many great players who now runs both of work in the supermarket or in construction. And it is not because they had no talent, it is because of the lack of opportunity. Some people need to work to make some money. He can't had to chase his dreams. And if I had not had the support of my mother, possibly he would be doing the same and then no. But instead, I had the opportunity to test myself in Palmeiras when I was 15 years old, and everything took off from that moment. I cannot explain it. It felt like father was somehow good growth everything perfectly. I was on the Jones team and was able to sing my first contract. From there, it was all like a rocket. I arrived at Primera. It went very well, and I was summoned to the Brazil national team for the Rio 2016 Olympic Games. When I received that call, it was a overwhelming emotion. To understand what that moment meant to me. 2 years old, I was on the street of Paris painting to the yellow and green street courts for the 2014 World Cup. The neighborhood boys go the dream well. Took care of to paint murals on the walls with the face of the players of the national team like David Luiz or Neymar. 2 days later, I watched the Olympic Games with Neymar. I can remember the feeling of putting on the yellow shirt of the national team for the first time. It was the feeling of conquering your dreams. That tournament in 2016 was special for Brazilians because Olympic gold was the only trophy that the country of soccer had never won. I remember that the tournament was a very heavy backpack, and not simply because it was in Rio, but because of what had happened in the last World Cup. We didn't play the first 2 games well, and the criticism was really intense, especially about Neymar. I admire Neymar very much for the way he handled everything and how he led your team. Before that tournament, I was huge fan of Neymar, like everyone else. He is an incredible soccer player. which everyone knows, but hating to know him really in what the tournament lasted was very special, because of the kind of person he is, the, the way this, the way he treats other supers me a lot because even in the short time I have lived in soccer, I have seen many who aren't even incredible players, who haven't won anything, being masquerades. This means a person wears a mask, that they are one way in public and another in the locker room. But Neymar treats I love everyone if he were his brother. He was one of the great reasons we were able to unite, ignore the problem and play for the next one. When we won the gold medal, it was an incredible moment for us and for the country. Before the tournament, Neymar got a tattoo and inspired me to make a similar one, because the drawing really saw it. He is a child looking from the base of a hill to the favelas. He has a ball under his arm and dreams. That is not only me, and not least Neymar. There are many Brazilians, and that was what won the gold medal meant for us. I want to do everything to be able to be in the 2018 World Cup, of course, but Brazil is Brazil. There is a lot of competition and nothing is certain. That was a great reason I decided to come to Manchester City. I know I need to continue growing player. I tell you, here it is very different to from Brazil. You don't see the sun too much. I had a couple of offers from the other clubs. I warmed country, but for me, the decision to come to Manchester City is due to the possibility of being directed by Pep Guardiola. This is my first time in a cold country and where I don't speak the language. It is a challenge to be understood, and it can be lonely in that regard. Anyway, Mr. Guardiola, he called me when he was deciding where to sing. He told me he was counting on the ant on me, and that it would be very important in the future of the Manchester City. That call was very important to me because he showed that he really cares about my future. When you have no ties with someone, you realize if he is very honest with you. And I can say that Guardiola is sincere, and in football, that means a lot. When he told me this, I didn't think twice. My decision was made. It was the Manchester City. But before flying to Manchester, I had to do one last night thing. I had to close a chapter in my life. So I went back to the court where I played with pequeñinos, with bottoner under my farm, who's light at 9. Only this time I had 250 pair of the rally gold buttons for the kids. Now, when one of the big clubs face beginnings on a muddy court, be careful. There are no excuses. I will not leave. The first time I came to Manchester, I felt the loss of everything. My mother kept coming and going, better Brazil and England. And it was extremely hard to be away from her because she's everything to me. He was mother and father at the same time. While I was growing up. I remember that when I played for pequeñinos, I saw some boys with their parents at the game, and I was alone. That was hard for me, but someone asked about my father. I said that my mother is my father. She did everything for me and my brothers. She's a hero without a cape. So now, when I make goal, even when she's not in the stadium, I pick up the punt and talk to her. When we were kids, my mother was calling me and the chain to find or her or where I was, and if she didn't answer, I started calling my friends. Hi mom. When I picture of the fun, it is in honor of my mother and her fight, but it's also in honor of my friends, my family, Coach Mede and all those to go in Brazil. Helped me to hit her. I was always a dream, but even in my best dreams, I didn't think I was living what I am living today. I know there are many guys who will be fighting to the streets of the World Cup this summer. Maybe they don't play for a big club. Perhaps they are being told that they cannot achieve it. It will tell them not to stop fighting. 4 years before walking through the Etihad Tunnel, I was playing in Basea, and they were telling me that they going to break my legs in the parking lot. Okay. Really, your life can be bologna sandwich and a can of gaseous soda and the same. But if you keep watching your dreams, who knows what can happen? Water can become wind. So tall all those kids. So tall all those kids. If you reach the end of this story, I have one last message for you, and I already tell your tears. Never stop dreaming. Never stop dreaming. Hope